Florida State back in the headlines again with this whole conference realignment deal. It seems to be a recurring theme during the offseason as we've been hearing rumblings about all this stuff for several years now. It's obviously no secret that Florida State is looking to get out of the ACC. It matters only accelerated when Florida State launched a formal lawsuit against the conference. The ACC also launched one right back. Or I guess technically the ACC caught wind of Florida State doing it and decided to actually do theirs first. But then after all the dirty laundry got aired out, Clemson decided to join the party too and launched their own lawsuit against the ACC. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but I don't think it's a matter of if Florida State and Clemson get out, but more so when and where to. Now, the obvious number one choice is going to be one of the SEC or the Big 10. And I don't know if Florida State and Clemson are mutually exclusive. I would have to guess that they'll land together, but who really knows? There's a lot of twists and turns here, so they could very well end up in separate conferences. So this is already a big sort of jumbled up mess. Accusations come from all sides and a ton of speculation from media, the fans, everyone. Now, to make matters worse, the Big 12 has entered the conversation. Now, if you're a Florida State fan, you're probably thinking, no! But yes, the Big 12 has expressed interest in attaining both Florida State and Clemson, and it sounds like there's at least some early conversations going on between the parties here. Now, this all kind of came about on Tuesday with the Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark's comments at the Big 12 Football Media Days in Las Vegas. He seemingly took a bit of a shot at the ACC, deeming that the Big 12 was a top 3 conference in the sport, saying that the Big 12 is more relevant now than ever before. Now, Yormark, I got to give it to him. He's an aggressive guy. He calls himself a disruptor. I think he's very aggressively looking to find more revenue for the Big 12 and grow that conference as much as he possibly can. I think he was a big force behind the Pac-12 falling apart as the Big 12 added quite a few Pac-12 teams like Utah and Colorado. Now, they've also reached over and grabbed UCF and finally added them to a power conference. So this is a guy that's definitely getting active for his conference and looking to make waves in the process. So could the ACC be his next target? Now, you may be asking yourself, how could this work, or why would Florida State even consider this? And to be fair, again, this is all just pure speculation, and it may not be possible. I mean, right now it technically isn't until Florida State can actually find a way to officially get out of the ACC. Now, the whole point of this move for Florida State is revenue, right? They want to be on the same playing field and have the same type of resources that the SEC and Big 10 programs have. Now, up until this point, Big 12 hasn't been capable of doing that either, so there's no real point in making a lateral move. Now, I suppose the Big 12 could try to introduce unequal revenue sharing, something that the ACC has tried to avoid to their own demise. And it would definitely make sense because Florida State would immediately be the number one program in that conference if they joined. But for one, that's not easy to pull off. Two, the other programs aren't going to want to take food off their own table, and that in itself could set off a whole separate chain of events. Now, one option the Big 12 is considering is adding in help from a private equity investment. This could go to not only helping Florida State leave the ACC, but also paying Florida State a higher share of revenue. They're even open to selling the conference's name. And you're not willing to do that if you're not looking to make a massive play, in my opinion. Now, as an FSU fan, I agree. This isn't quite the news you were expecting to hear, and it's probably not the news you wanted to hear. And I'm with you. I still think the SEC or the Big 10 is the preferred spot, and even now, I still think one of those two are the most likely landing spot. I think it would take a pretty substantial amount to get Florida State to agree to go to the Big 12, and even then, say they did find the money. For how long, though? How long can they sustain such a top-heavy revenue model, and what's going to be put in place to keep Florida State from having to do this in 5 to 10 more years? Can't just be bouncing around all the time. I still think overall this would be a lateral move for Florida State at best, and one I don't really think Michael Alford is willing to make. Now, just for a second to play devil's advocate, I definitely wouldn't mind playing Dion every year. But no, I'm still hoping and thinking that's probably going to be the Big 10 for Florida State. Now, there's more info and news coming out about all this almost daily, it seems, so we may learn a lot more over the next few weeks. We've already seen Florida State set up a Board of Trustees meeting on the 22nd with no listed agenda. Could be nothing, could be something. We'll just have to see. There's also that August 15th deadline to officially announce for the 2025 season, so this all could start heating up in a big way in the coming weeks. I don't know, man. It's all a jumbled up mess. I don't quite understand it all. I'm just a Florida State fan. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not plugged in. I don't know all these big words. I just know that I'm ready for Florida State to get out of the ACC and be able to stay competitive. And I know I needed to happen soon. If you agree, definitely like this video and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Especially if you know something here that I don't. I definitely love to get your guys' opinions on all this. We appreciate you guys tuning in. It's definitely been a little while since we've done a conference realignment video, especially with all the recruiting stuff going on. But if you enjoyed the content, if you're mentally unstable enough to follow Florida State football this closely, definitely consider subscribing to the channel and dropping a like on this video. We'll be back with more as all this continues to be a super fluid situation. So, catch you guys on the next one. Go Noles.